Immigrate. To come to a country of which one is not a native, usually for permanent residence. Immigrate. To leave one country or region to settle in another. Naturalize. To confer citizenship upon an alien. Keeping this within the temporal realm of the USA, there are a lot of things going on in our current era that are being left unrecognized about people entering our borders. Once a person enters the border of another country, it is reasonable to expect some challenge before naturalization is bestowed. The Constitution recognizes naturalization as an important facet of government. U.S. Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, Para 4. To establish a uniform rule of naturalization. U.S. Constitution, Article 2, Section 1, Para 5. No person except a natural-born citizen or a citizen of the United States at the time of the adoption of this Constitution shall be eligible to the office of President. Neither shall any person be eligible to that office who shall not have attained to the age of 35 years and been 14 years a resident within the United States. U.S. Constitution, 14th Amendment, Section 1. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. People have been coming to the constitutional USA since its inception 236 years ago. The laws have changed over time, with tests and oaths being cornerstones. There is a peculiarity with passing a test so citizenship can be confirmed. That is the expectation everyone else who is a citizen can also pass the test, with the objective the test would help everyone agree to live by the law of the land. Unfortunately, for many honest, caring, and decent people who legally immigrate to the USA, that turns out to be a rude slap in the face, a bucket of cold, dirty water thrown on them. Many citizens born here cannot justify the citizenship that is conferred upon them by their birthright. I have witnessed a daughter of a Vietnam veteran who could not pass the online sample civic citizenship test say, "I don't have to do anything for you." I was not mad. I felt sorry for her. I have witnessed a Vietnam vet who went on to have NSA clearance say after taking the same online civic citizenship test and preemptively closing his laptop declare, "I passed," without sharing his results, then added, "I had to guess at some of those questions." Again, I am not mad, but disappointed over the apparent deceit. And the kicker is, the online civic citizenship test is fairly simple, and in my opinion, more geared to American history than what it takes to live and maintain a republic. Not to mention, the online sample test is multiple choices, which means if you peruse the answers and don't know the correct one, you can look at the answers and try and determine which are not the correct ones and eliminate them from being possibly correct. It is hard to fail. But alas, the situation is worse. I know a lady from Brazil, cute as a bug, who did not pass the real civic citizenship test in the early 1970s and was still allowed to take the naturalization oath and was conferred citizenship. First a weak test, then no grading standard of force. The consequences can't be encouraging. Why the concern? Well, of course, the current state of affairs at the southern border. Historically, what happened when the Apaches made mincemeat of what the Americans and the Mexicans agreed was the border in the 1880s? The Apaches did not recognize any border. They had been on that land for a long, long time. And the American army did not chase the Apaches into Mexico, and the Mexicans, who were hard on the Apaches, did not chase them into the USA, save for a few anomalies. Eventually, enough pressure was put on the Apaches, they abandoned their cross-border forays. Jump to the American Revolution with Pancho Villa, circa 1911-1915. Buku Mexicans made their way to the USA and were permitted to enter. Refer to Reign of Gold by Victor Villaseñor. These people traveled the same routes, the same paths, the same arroyos the people in our current influx are using. Can they pass the civic citizenship? Probably not. But then again, the civic citizenship test is so simple it is banal, let alone the questionable enforcing of grading standards. Which leads us to the crux of the matter, the naturalization oath. I hereby declare on oath that I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state, or sovereignty, of whom or which I have heretofore been a subject or citizenship, that I will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I will bear arms on behalf of the United States when required by the law, that I will perform non-combatant service in the armed forces of the United States when required by the law, that I will perform work of national importance under civilian direction when required by the law, and that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, so help me God. Naturalization, oath of allegiance to the United States of America. People entering the USA before being conferred citizenship have to take this oath. Yes, words on paper are just that. Yes, promises and oaths made are only as good as the person making them. However, they are documentation and necessary for establishing a trail and expectation of conduct. I find it heartening people entering the USA have to renounce and abjure allegiance and fidelity to other non-republic ways of government and life. That being said, I find it alarming they have to promise that I will perform work of national importance under civilian direction when required by law. That smacks. They have to promise to work when the government says they have to? Bogus. Yes, there are things of national importance that require hands-on effort, but that is a dangerous power to grant to government. The reality of Soviet citizenships in the USSR being convicted under Article 58 of their penal code was their being sent to the gulags was a work reassignment. The gulag needed workers, and thus people were convicted and sent to work. Which brings us to the point that people crossing the southern border illegally are 1. Not being presented a test in passing. 2. Not abjuring all allegiance and fidelity to ways of life which are anti-constitutional and anti-republic. 3. Are not promising to work when the government says they have to by law. No, the majority crossing illegally could not pass the civics test, and it is disturbing the USA would make them promise to work, but the real long-term consequences for the USA is we want y'all to be Americans. Don't bring your allegiances to kings, queens, princes, princesses, lords, ladies, dictators, oligarchs, religious leaders, class dictatorships, global proletariat, or any other special privileged people to this land. Please, just bring reason and love for freedom and liberty.